Pop Culture Pastor.
All right, Cody. Long story, Cody, but I was the very first Amber Alert. Not a lot of people know that. I've got a lot of trauma.
That was quite the claim.
Somewhere out there, someone was watching Shrinking who actually was the first Amber Alert, and they were like, hey!
How dare you? Oh, Derek.
Other Derek.
Yes.
As we call him here on the show. This is Pop Culture Pastor Watch-Alongs for Shrinking, Season 3, Episode 5. This episode entitled Hold Your Horsies.
Yes.
The name of the episode is Hold Your Horsies. And Cody, just broadly, I thought this was a pretty good episode. And I thought this one weirdly, it seems like they've been trying to do this, but this one might have been the best version of it, where everybody's kind of going through the same process at the same time.
Almost everybody.
Yeah, well, I mean, not everybody, but a lot of the main characters are going through kind of the same thing, and we'll get to that later. But we should start off, as we always do, going scene by scene. The cold open, as they say. Liz starts off, we hear Liz's voice as the screen fades from black, and she's calling Matthew. He clearly still isn't speaking to them, and Liz has a funny conversation with her Derek, otherwise known as D-Train.
D-Train is what I refer to him as.
And that she's never called a boy before, and so she's very upset that now she has to call a boy. Even
this much.
Yeah. And he's not going for the bait. We do this before the opening credits, where we're just kind of visiting in with all the characters to see where they're at. Sean and Marisol are having breakfast with Jimmy and Alice, and Marisol wants Sean to blow off his work and go to the beach. I was unnaturally annoyed with Marisol immediately, Cody. Spoiler, I like where they're going with it, but I was just annoyed.
I was not annoyed at this part.
So the hooky is okay.
Once in a while.
Yeah.
I don't think you should make a habit of it by any stretch of the imagination, but you own your own business. You can take a break.
Now, see, that's when I settled down, when I remembered, oh, yeah, he has a food truck. He can set up anytime he wants. So when I thought about that, I thought, well, okay. And in a bigger city, too. We live in a small town where the food trucks have to post their hours.
And if they don't, I just don't go.
Yeah, exactly. But in a bigger place, you don't even set up in the same place twice. You just go wherever.
Although it looks like he sets up in the same place.
Yeah. Well, don't ruin it.
I won't.
I'm trying to give Marisol some grace here. Apparently, Sean and Marisol reenacted Ferris Bueller's Day Off at some point together.
Who hasn't?
They ended up in a parade, and I need that flashback now, just because I really love Ferris Bueller. And I want to see Sean, younger, irresponsible Sean's version of it. Gabby is meeting with Maya, and Gabby is super psyched that she has a client who has debilitating depression and has been self-medicating.
I was not. I was concerned.
I know. As soon as she mentioned that she'd been mixing the alcohol and the drugs, which Gabby made into kind of a joke.
Yeah.
I was like, uh-oh. Why would they tell us that?
Depending on the client, you can kind of joke with those things, but at the same time, we might need to discuss this further. What is a good safety plan for you?
And I'm a chaplain, but I am also one of those people who don't take much seriously. But there are times when you're like, okay, we have to take this seriously now. And Gabby, I don't know if she has those boundaries.
I feel she's closer than Jimmy, but...
Jimmy, yeah. Then we get a short scene with her and her beau, other Derek.
Not D-Train.
And Gabby recounts her excitement with the client, and in doing so shares her dream of one day opening her own trauma center. But this is something that will kind of anchor the rest of the episode with Gabby.
Potentially.
Brian, Jimmy, and Dr. Paul are talking about the legal aspects of winding down the practice. Brian makes funny jokes about, being uncomfortable with old guys.
And boring people to death.
Mm-hmm. And then we get perhaps one of the greatest scenes, I think, in this show's history. because the episode then opens with Jimmy and Brian agreeing to take Dr. Paul to the airport to pick up his daughter. Jimmy's running errands for him, essentially, in this episode. So they're driving Paul to pick up Meg to the airport, and somewhere along the way, Jimmy and Brian break into a full-throated performance of the confrontation from Les Mis. Les Miserables.
Well, Brian did say if he had to go on this trip, he was going to pick the music.
Yeah. And it was incredible, Cody. First of all, this is the second show that Bill Lawrence has done in a row here where he has referenced Les Mis.
We're not uncultured swine.
He's clearly a fan, but these two dudes, they nail this. Yeah, Jason Segel and Michael Urie. I was watching an interview with Michael Urie where he said that Bill asked them if they wanted to do it, and they were like, yeah. And they didn't need any practice time or anything. They just did it, and Harrison Ford didn't know they were going to do it. So the reaction you get from Harrison's a real reaction. Did you guys make that up?
Yes. Yes, we did.
It goes on way longer than you'd expect, and it is absolutely pure comedy. So before the opening credits, you have just one of the anchor scenes that I think you could show to anyone to be like, here's this show. I think you'll like it.
It was at this moment my wife said, I really like this song. And I'm like, from Les Mis? And she's like, no, the theme song. But I do like that song from Les Mis.
We start after the credits with Jimmy, Paul, and Gabby. And they are in the clinic, obviously witty bantering away, followed by Paul's exit and a very awkward goodbye from Jimmy. Apparently, Jimmy is having trouble not being super dramatic with every time he says goodbye to Paul. And Paul keeps telling him, like, hey, I'm going to be here for a while because there's a lot of work to do.
So I give Jimmy a pass on this. He's working through trauma and grief, and seeing a friend, colleague, a mentor that he has admired retiring, and also knowing that his days are a lot closer to being done than when they first begun. He's still dealing with that, especially through the lens of losing his wife and knowing that his daughter's about to go off to college. So, like, everyone's leaving.
Yeah, and it's sort of that idea is brought up at some point in the episode, too, in a more specific way. But we'll get to that when we get there. Gabby kind of calls him on the awkward behavior. And hilariously, Jimmy kind of walks her through his fantasy about Paul's last day, and this hope that Jimmy has that Paul will tell Jimmy that he's learned something from him. And the notable undertone here is that Jimmy is going above and beyond for Paul, almost desperately so, and he needs Paul to acknowledge him and thank him, and he's not going to get it. And Gabby reminds him that old people are good for two things: getting computer viruses and taking stuff for granted.
You betcha.
And that scene is great, and obviously that line delivered by Gabby is wonderful. Then we move to Gabby and Alice, who have a therapy session here. Before some of the meatier parts of the episode, we get this quieter scene between Gabby and Alice, and she gets her the taco clip.
Yes.
Because she didn't want to pay her in Taco Bell this time.
Taco clip suffices.
But it's not in the office.
Yeah. Gabby's now doing the Paul work.
Right. Alice confides in her that she's worried that she's boring.
She is.
She spent so much of her teenage life being the responsible mini adult in the house that she doesn't really know who she is outside of that. Gabby almost reflexively kind of steps in and stops Alice's negative self-talk spiral in its tracks. And it's Gabby kind of doing what she does best as a therapist, but in this weird way, acting in the place of Alice's mom, I think, too. It's the sort of encouragement that a parent would give you in a lot of ways.
Yes. I would have highlighted, like, you play sports, you do this, you do that. So then she could start to see, like, oh, there's some identity of me that these things I actually like doing, not that sports is going to define who you are as a complete person, but it can be a slight anchor.
Yeah. The moment matters because it ends up propelling Alice through kind of the rest of this episode. Their relationship's kind of criminally underrated on the show. And now it kind of gets to shine now that she's taken over for Paul and gets to have these talks with Alice.
Well, it makes Gabby's claim of like being Tia's best friend, taking Alice and Tia to Sparks games and like being heavily involved a lot more serious. Because before I would have said that Liz and Alice super close. Gabby's just like the fun person that occasionally comes around. And but now it's like, oh, okay, there actually was a relationship here that we might not have gotten a good glimpse of the first couple seasons.
Liz and D-Train are hosting a barbecue with Brian and Charlie and baby Sutton, for what it's worth. Sutton doesn't get much screen time this episode. Gabby's boyfriend, other Derek, also there. And Liz is on the phone trying to reach Matthew here off and on, who's still completely ghosting her after overhearing her call him an embarrassment in the last episode. And D-Train, in classic D-Train fashion, brings up the subject of parenthood with Gabby and other Derek, which launches the episode's title storyline, Operation Hold Your Horsies. And Gabby explains to the group that she and Derek have this standing agreement, other Derek, so we don't get confused. No talk of marriage or babies until January 1st, 2027. They call it Operation Hold Your Horsies. Cody, Gabby's Hold Your Horsies agreement is essentially a self-imposed delay on being vulnerable in a way. As a therapist, do you think that kind of structured boundary around a relationship is healthy self-awareness, or is it just a sophisticated form of avoidance?
I mean, I would go case, but this case, it feels a lot like self-avoidance. Or avoiding serious issues, which we'll get to.
I suppose it could be both. But yeah, for this episode's purposes, it seems like it's full-on avoidance. But given that she's had a messy divorce, she's got some deep-seated commitment issues. This is kind of her self-preservation strategy. Enjoy what's good right now. Don't look too far ahead. Everyone has kind of accepted it. But problem is Gabby then makes the mistake of telling other Derek about her dream of opening her own trauma center. And he kind of takes that and runs with it, finding a potential property and excitedly presenting it to her. It's quiet. It's spacious. It's barely haunted.
Barely.
And he uses the word we. And that one little word sends Gabby into a full spiral.
Which I was like, I don't get you, girl.
Yeah. She has to convene her inner circle because she's panicked about Derek's use of we. Gabby calls in the whole crew to analyze the situation. Essentially, it's an emergency relationship council meeting. And Liz is joined by Gabby's mother, who is temporarily staying there. Is not really in the circle, but she's allowed to be.
Although she was told no long-winded stories that amount to nothing.
And she immediately violates that. In a recurring gag that everyone loves, Liz has essentially kidnapped Paul and brought him along too.
Paul's in his jams.
Liz said I had to come because some covenant of the rock. And
that upsets Brian.
yeah, because Brian doesn't have one.
Which is interesting and also gives the rock still more meaning. Because I would have put money that Brian would have got a rock long before Paul got a rock. But Liz and Paul have had these moments that like, he is some wise counsel for her. And she kind of pushes him off of his line in the sand.
Yeah. And Gabby's ex-husband's next girlfriend after the ex, now friend of Gabby's.
Yes.
But she just never getting a rock, according to Liz.
And Liz did not want her there.
No, clearly. But yeah, so she's kind of going into it, and Paul finally speaks up, Dr. Paul. He says, Derek's got pros, Derek's got cons, Derek's got a good-looking backside. I'm paraphrasing, obviously.
Yes.
Paul has more colorful language than me. But Paul and Gabby's mother end up being kind of the unlikely highlight pairing of this scene.
They mic dropped.
They do, because they're right. The group helps Gabby work through whether her hesitation is wisdom or fear. Paul, as only Paul can, kind of cuts to the heart of it. We're all here because you let a catalyst into your life, which is the second time he's used this.
Yes.
Who is forcing you to make decisions. What do I always say about tough choices? You don't know whether a choice is right or wrong until you actually make it. And by the end of the scene, Gabby has clarity. She's sure about other Derek. The trauma center can wait, but other Derek doesn't have to. And I love that later on, other Derek says, kind of genius how I sidestepped Operation Hold Your Horsies.
It was.
Other Derek is a tricky female dog, Cody.
You sneaky snake.
Also paraphrasing.
I really appreciate this scene just because you would think that a therapist has it all together. And clearly, Gabby does not have it all together.
No.
Anxiety's winning the day. She has enough self-doubts that she had to call this emergency counsel. And when you actually have wise counsel, good friends that care about you, they are going to help you find that inner voice of reason that is logical and well thought out instead of the voice of anxiety. And so I appreciated this.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of wit to it.
I think we've all, if you've had a circle of friends, you all have that time where when you're on the outside looking in, you have that one friend who's freaking out about something, which to you, when you're thinking about it, is like, this is not a freak out moment. But for like us as individuals, we find ourselves in these moments where for whatever reason, it hits us in the right spot where we start freaking out. We just need our friends to talk us down. That's all.
Indeed.
Jimmy and Meg, Paul sends Jimmy and Meg to his storage unit to collect some things he wants. Also, Meg wanted some pictures that Dave,
no one likes you.
Ruining the namesake here. But apparently no one does like Dave, especially Meg.
For reals. I did enjoy that Paul has a spear gun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As one does in
right.
their storage units.
You just never know when you're going to go whaling.
Yeah.
The tension between Jimmy and Meg is palpable from the moment they're alone together. And the whole time I'm like, okay, this is where we're going, huh? But
Jimmy's blissfully unaware for most of it.
Right. And then Meg calls Jimmy her adoptive brother, and that seems to pump the brakes a little bit. And then I kind of relax. I'm like, okay, good. This isn't going to happen. Because I'm not sure that I wanted anything to happen between them. Meg laments that Jimmy knows her father better than her. And then Jimmy tells her, hey, if it makes you feel any better, my own father is a bit of a mystery to me as well. One might call him emotionally elusive. To which she replies, what a lovely way to say that he sucks.
She's not wrong.
No, she's not. Jimmy opens up about Sophie and where he's at romantically. Says he likes her, that she's weird, she's nice, seems perfect for me. But he wishes he could just have one uncomplicated romantic moment to help.
That seemed weird. I mean, I don't know if I was in his shoes that I also wouldn't want something like that. But at the same time, you had like a year of that at the very beginning of the show.
Yeah. So he says one uncomplicated kiss to help me get over the hump, to make me feel hopeful again. Maybe Nightswimming by R.E.M is playing in the background. For some reason, I'm the one singing it, which is hilarious because it's Jimmy. And then, like, you know, at that moment, it seems like Meg's leaning forward and then the phone rings and distracts him. And that seems to snap out of whatever. But I didn't notice the first time. I noticed it the second time.
Oh, I noticed.
In this scene, also, Meg revealed the big news that she came to town for. She asked Paul to move to Connecticut to be closer to her. And he said yes, which this is significant news here because Paul's retirement isn't just about slowing his life down. It's about he's now physically relocating to be near family. And so, yeah, as we said, Jimmy is losing people who's been in his orbit since he lost his wife.
Which us as viewers saw Paul's vision when he did the exercise with Michael J. Fox's character, and Meg was very prominent in it. And so we could deduct that there is this chance he's moving to the East Coast to be with his daughter, but Jimmy doesn't have that insight. Paul hasn't shared what the vision fully entailed. He just said, it's time.
It was a really good scene, though. That whole scene in the storage, what is that? A storage
unit.
Storage unit. That whole scene was really, really good. They talk, they connect, and it feels like two people who understand each other because they've both spent their lives in and around Dr. Paul. Like, you know, and both look at him. She looks at him, of course, like her actual father, but Jimmy sort of looks at him as a father figure, and they both want something from him that he doesn't easily give.
Yes.
So, Cody, here's my question then. The show keeps circling this idea that Paul has spent his career giving people what they need while withholding it from the people closest to him. Is that a therapist problem? Is that a Dr. Paul problem? Or is that just a human problem?
Oh, I would say it's a helping profession problem, because you see that with doctors, you see it with pastors, you see it with therapists, that
you work that muscle so much.
They rush to others, they heal others, they're present for others, and they're either not around enough at home, or when they are around, they're either emotionally drained or distant. And I don't know, it's not uncommon or unheard of, especially within those helping professions.
Wow. Yeah. That's kind of sad to think about.
Very. But a very common story, especially among clergy.
When Jimmy and Meg drop off the things that Paul asked for, Paul barely acknowledges Jimmy's help. It's kind of painful, actually. And I think you're supposed to feel that.
I think it would not be as painful if Jimmy wasn't trying as hard.
So
as
desperate. Yeah. He's so desperate, Cody.
And I'm like, you have Jeff Daniels. Call Jeff Daniels.
Jeff, there's not a car show in town that weekend. Clearly, he's emotionally unavailable, as Jimmy has said. But yeah, Paul kind of barely acknowledges Jimmy's help before kind of unceremoniously dismissing him. And Meg sees it. And she knows exactly what just happened because it's happened to her whole life. And so that's an important part of the story, and we'll come back to that. Then we have this whole storyline with Sean and the party that Marisol wants him to go to.
Warehouse party.
And Marisol has organized a night out, a warehouse party. Also, she's friends with Summer, which is
the best combination.
I am not liking Marisol even more. How old are you, Marisol?
Early 20s.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, I don't know, Marisol. There's always a time where we need to grow up.
Sooner or later.
But Alice is in the mix in all this too. Dr. Paul encourages Sean to go, telling him that disruption is good for him.
He's not wrong.
And that he needs to learn to let loose. And he says this line, which is, I think, one of the anchor lines of the episode. Nothing's scarier than having someone you care about yank you out of your comfort zone.
He ain't wrong again. Disruption leads to growth. And also, you learn more about yourself. Like if, I do need a break every once in a while. Or, you know what? I really valued the food truck and I'm going to live that food truck life.
Yeah. Because Sean, he initially agrees, but then immediately finds a reason to stay back, right? There's a cash cover at the door.
$40 a person, I would have turned around and left.
So he opens the food truck to raise money for the group. Once it's open and they raid the money, he can't bring himself to stop working and let go of the control that his routine gives him.
Which I also think is very common amongst former military personnel. Mm-hmm. That routine and structure is a comfort.
Yeah, good observation. That's good, yeah. Alice comes back out after they all go in. And they have this kind of quiet, honest moment where Sean tells her that his routine makes him feel safe and in control, just as Cody said. And Alice mirrors this back. She's been doing the same thing, right? She's been playing it safe, being a mini adult, not actually living. They've been hiding. And this conversation kind of gives them both a push. They close the truck, they go inside, and seem to have a genuinely great time at the party. It's a small moment, Cody, but a real one, who, as we see them all kind of just dancing and being young and doing young people things.
My question was, what type of warehouse party is letting these youngins in?
Yeah. The legality of this party is under question.
Yes.
And then after the storage unit scene and the dismissal at Paul's house, Meg shows up at Jimmy's house. She tells him that he deserved a thank you that he did not get. Earlier in the episode, Jimmy had mentioned somewhat offhandedly that he just wanted one uncomplicated kiss to get him over the hump romantically. And Meg acts on that. She kisses him.
I don't know if that's uncomplicated.
The episode ends there with them kissing and...
Well, he makes a quip.
Yeah.
That wasn't a brother-sisterly kiss.
No, and then he goes right back at it, which, because she was the aggressor at first. Then he goes back to kissing her, and then the episode ends with them kissing and retreating deeper into the house with Jason Segel singing Nightswimming by R.E.M. Actually, the actor Jason Segel who plays Jimmy, which is hilarious.
He does sing a lot.
He does.
The Muppet movie, that one's a classic with him singing.
This episode had a lot of fun with the music.
It did.
Cody, Jimmy said he just wanted one uncomplicated kiss, and you've already kind of answered this, but setting aside the obvious complication of this being Paul's daughter, is that even a real thing? Can you have an uncomplicated romantic kiss? Is there such a thing as a uncomplicated romantic gesture when you're a grieving widower who hasn't really dated in years?
Like I said before, I think as close as he was going to get to uncomplicated kissing was his partying days the first year after his wife's death.
Yeah, that was complicated in a whole nother way.
Yes, but for the actual romanticism of it all, nope, it was uncomplicated because he wasn't just constantly hanging out with these people. They were going to be gone.
I mean, I suppose he could have kissed Kimmy a couple episodes ago.
She was crying and puking too much. But no, and especially when you look back at the wedding, which they were kind of being a little flirtatious with each other, but
yes,
you could either chalk it up to just joking, or she's by herself. Her husband didn't come back for this, and so she's just going to have a little fun, but nothing immoral. It's just, let's dance.
I mean, yeah, that right then. But now it's adultery.
Well, so we don't get her to elaborate, but in the storage unit, she says, I know marital issues are complication in marriage.
So we may have a separation going on here.
Which would explain why David is not returning on all these trips.
Yeah, I mean...
And no one likes him.
If we're being honest, I don't think this is a serious thing they're going to have moving forward.
I do.
You think it's serious?
I think it could be.
Interesting.
Or that it'll be explored as serious.
Okay. I still
Especially if the separation divorce thing is a real thing. Because what if she decides she wants to move back to her home area?
Oh, yeah.
And then Paul is not going to have to move. And Jimmy and Meg are going to be around. And that's going to create all sorts of drama for more reasons.
Interesting. I hadn't thought of that. I just assumed it wouldn't be, and that we'd be moving on with Sophie.
Well,
but that this would have some complications for sure.
Oh yeah,
that it wasn't just going to be this and then we're done with it.
It could definitely happen. I could see him and Sophie starting a relationship, and then Meg moves back.
The pretty good episode overall. The song of the episode, of course, has to be Nightswimming by R.E.M.
Oh, I had a different song.
What were you going to say?
So the theme song.
You always say the
I
theme
do
song.
say that. And this time it really works for Gabby. Because I think Gabby is the character that has the growth moment. But I'll let you get to that later. But for her,
We can both do a growth moment.
Cannot hear herself think.
Okay.
She is so caught up in anxiety and fear that she's stuck. She has to have her group. And then, like, after they talk, she's able to hear herself think again.
Cody,
like the theme song says.
Cody really likes the theme song.
Ben Gibbard is a national treasure, whether he's in the Postal Service or a death cab for cutie.
Nightswimming by R.E.M. Cody was released in July 1993 off the album Automatic for the People. Did you own that one?
Shockingly, no.
It's based on true events. In the early 80s, R.E.M. and their circle of friends would go skinny dipping after their Athens clubs closed at night. We'd go to parties, we'd go to clubs. There would be any number of these.
They're from
same
Athens?
50 people, apparently.
Who knew?
Yeah. So it was a very tight circle of friends, said one of the band members. But the song is it's about more than skinny dipping. It focuses on loss, the kind of loss that comes with the passing of your youth, Cody. Stipe's not singing from the perspective of a teenager, but from the vantage point of an adult. And he's employing the only known time travel machine we have, memories. Michael Stipe himself said the song's about the kind of summer as an eternity and the innocence that's either desperately clung to or obviously lost. That Michael Stipe, he's so deep.
He is, although I'm Team Darius Rucker.
How come you have to be one or the other? I thought Rucker loved R.E.M.
There might be beef.
There's beef?
There might be.
Hootie and R.E.M. have beef? Why am I not told about these things?
I will have to confirm with the Google machine later. Otherwise, I'm dead wrong and my bad.
I think one of the key lyrics of the song, these things, they go away, replaced by every day. Think about what just happened in this episode. We got Jimmy, who's been 3 seasons now, kind of drowning in grief, slowly clawing his way back towards being a full person. And he's been consumed by loss and responsibility, raising Alice, that he's barely been young in years. He's still a young guy.
Yeah, he did all the dumb things
Yes.
a young man does in the first season, but yes.
And then Meg kisses him out of nowhere. And it's the most complicated, most loaded, least uncomplicated thing that could possibly happen to him, I think, in this moment. And Nightswimming is that feeling. It's the song about doing something impulsive and a little reckless in the dark with someone maybe that you're not supposed to in a moment that you should have maybe not. Should have thought more clearly, but you're young and you're dumb and you just do it.
Yes.
And the fact that Jason Segel himself is singing it rather than just playing the original is a creative choice that I think just elevates it a little more. Jimmy isn't just hearing the song, Cody. He is the song.
That's why this show's brilliant.
Yeah. It was a wonderful moment. I love it. Who you said Gabby would be your choice.
I said, yo, Gabby.
Okay. And you kind of explained that already, or would you like to give your reasoning?
Well, and also her scene at the end with Derek. We can talk about the future.
Yeah.
I'm choosing you. I don't know about the trauma clinic or not, but I am for sure on. Their relationship has had these off and on immature moments, especially on Gabby's side, I feel. And so her actually being vulnerable, actually making a choice, following some wise counsel, and not staying stuck in her anxiety and fear. Yeah, that's a lot of growth.
Yeah. I think it's a good answer. I was kind of hoping, I wanted to let you expound a little bit because mine's going to be kind of weird. I went with a kind of an under the radar one.
If you say Brian, I'm going to rampage.
Brian doesn't grow, man.
Brian's hardly in this. He has great moments when he is, but he's hardly in this episode.
My who grew is going to go to Meg.
The Meg?
Yeah. Because on the surface, you think, well, why would you give it to Meg? She did something probably irresponsible. but was it? I mean, yeah, probably, but there's something deeper there, because I think you have Meg, who's watched her father dismiss Jimmy without so much as a thank you. And we know that Meg's history with her dad is that's probably not a new experience for her. She's been on the receiving end of that her whole life, but instead of just absorbing it and moving on, like she probably always had, she shows up at Jimmy's door and gave Jimmy what her father couldn't. Appreciation, because I think when you put it all together with her saying that Dave didn't even get the pictures that their kid needed, that's why she's going to the storage container anyways.
Yep.
And so, like, there's an appreciation there that she thinks Jimmy's a good guy. And so, you know, that comes out as probably some attractiveness for her. But there's growth in that too. She's breaking a generational thing. Like, usually your kids are going to kind of take on that brokenness, right?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Most of the time. I would say that there is a percentage that just go the complete opposite direction. And whatever the negative aspect of their parent, they like overcompensate in the other direction.
Yeah. At the very least, I'm going to say her showing up at the door and telling Jimmy that he was owed a thank you. It at least breaks a pattern. Now, does she do some things that's also the beginning of something that is going to make the next several episodes very complicated? Probably. Yeah, absolutely. But growth and complication aren't mutually exclusive, Cody. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is jump in the water at night and figure out the rest later. And that's what Meg did.
Also, please do not jump in the water if you don't know how to swim.
Yes. Probably do that before you remove your clothing.
And you probably shouldn't call your friends that are named Megan the Meg.
Because that's a shark.
Yes.
A prehistoric shark that runs amok in present day.
With Jason Statham.
Kills Jason Statham. I've never seen that movie.
I don't know if he dies or not.
I just assume that's what happens. Anyways, how many Horsies out of 10 are you giving this episode, Cody?
9.
Yeah. This is a solid 8.5, 9. This was a good episode. And I needed it. The last couple had been kind of iffy for me. I'm back on board with this episode.
I was never away, but like this is where I expected it to pick up. Which if you're not watching Scrubs, it's back. And Bill Lawrence doing a great job with that relaunch. I don't know what we're calling it, but Scrubs 2.0.
This is the Bill Lawrence Can Do No Wrong podcast. You've been listening to Dave and Cody. What did you think of this episode of Shrinking, Season 3, Episode 5, Hold Your Horsies? Did you like it? What did you think about the whole Meg Jimmy incident? Let us know. Tell us what you think, if it's going to be a long-term distraction or if it's just you think it's going to end quickly. Let us know about that. Make sure and subscribe and do all that fun, happy stuff, and we'll see you next time.